Hey everyone, Josh Perry here, and today starts the 5-day ketosis challenge hosted by Keto Coach. Unfortunately, Keto Coach's Instagram magically disappeared, but the challenge still lives on. And so I thought for each one of these days, I'd share a benefit that I've learned and experienced through the state of ketosis. But first, I want to break down what ketosis is to me and why I follow a keto lifestyle. So a lot of people refer to keto diet, keto lifestyle, that food's keto, you're keto, I'm keto, all these things. Keto is not what you do, it's not a food, it's not who you are. Keto is short for ketosis, which is a metabolic state of producing ketones in your bloodstream. This occurs from being able to burn fat at such a rate that ketones are the byproduct of the leftovers, that because it's burning fat so quickly, it can't use all the byproducts as fuel, so then you have ketones spill into the bloodstream and are later able to be used as fuel. And why I got interested in this way of eating and having this metabolic state occurring with ketones in my bloodstream was because of the cognitive performance benefits and the brain health benefits, the longevity aspects, quality of life, like all these things as it pertains to your brain health and how that optimizes the rest of your being. And so I've become a fan of keto over the last 6-7 years, ever since reading Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter in the end of 2013, beginning of 2014. And just seeing a lot of benefit take place in my life. And with that being said, there's various ways to achieve this state. You don't need to be on a strict ketogenic diet, with a macronutrient profile and all that. That's mainly aimed at therapeutic approaches. But you can still achieve that state of ketosis, of having ketones in your bloodstream, from a low carb, higher protein, middle ground fat, or fasting, extensive exercising, straight up starvation. Really, it's all predicated on glucose and glycogen and getting your levels regulated to a degree that your body turns to fat, dietary or body fat, for fuel. So there's many ways to get there. And I'll share about that more as well. If anyone's curious, just put a comment below and we can talk about that, or I'll do a whole nother video on that. But really, it just, keto is short for ketosis, which is a metabolic state of producing ketones in your bloodstream, which comes from a result of burning fat at such a rate that's increased more than what people typically will see it as. And so with that being said, keto can be an approach of a tool for some people, or a person, or it could be a lifestyle for people like myself that, majority of my days I eat a ketogenic approach, meaning I'm keeping the starches down, the sugar, down, the carbs down. When I do indulge, it's mindfully. I have a lot of mechanisms in place, a plan, if you will, to indulge. But majority of the time, it's just eating a little bit higher fat to medium fat than most people would consume, with a carbohydrate limit very low, and then protein being optimal for my goals and my body composition and my current state of being, but also a little bit higher than what most people consider technically keto, and that registers ketones in my bloodstream. So it works out really well. But for other people that are it just becomes a lifestyle for me in that sense. But then other people that are using it for therapeutic approaches could be a little bit more strict on being, very high fat, moderate protein, and extremely low carb all the time, because of the therapeutic benefits that we've all, begun to really understand and accept in today's world with, epilepsy and cancer even, and other, PCOS and diabetes and all these different things. It depends on the individual, where they're trying to go, where they are now, and if it's going to be a tool or a lifestyle for them. But I argue majority of people that use it as a tool for, let's just say, body composition purposes, or they just want to, feel better and perform better, it becomes a lifestyle where they're bouncing in and out of the state of ketosis through a little bit of intermittent fasting, or just the way they eat. They leave the starches and the sugars and the alcohol for, here and there, but majority of the time they're eating optimally to achieve this state. And so the only really way to tell is through testing your blood, and that's what this 5-day ketosis challenge is all about. It's about testing your blood with these devices. And right here I have a Keto Coach ketone meter, and unfortunately their Instagram page is down. And then Precision Extra by Abbott, it does glucose and ketones. I know Keto Coach is working on glucose added to their arsenal. But for right now, I have those two. And it's really important to test your blood glucose as well, because if you're getting high readings of blood glucose all the time and then low readings of ketones or no ketones, then that obviously makes sense, because they're directly affected by one another. And a little bit more specifically beneath the surface is glycogen, which is stored carbohydrates in your liver and your muscle tissue. In order to be able to turn on what's called lipolysis or fat metabolism, especially at such a rate to create ketones, you have to deplete your liver glycogen chronically, or not deplete it, but like lower it chronically, and then be able to use the muscle glycogen effectively and all that stuff. So really, it's important to track glucose and ketones. And for the majority of us that aren't approaching keto or ketosis with a therapeutic approach, glucose is probably going to be the more prominent blood biomarker we want to be looking for, just to maintain that. And by tracking it, you can see what works, what doesn't, what affects your blood sugar to spike, and then how long it stays there after. There's a lot of ins and outs of that. But some of the benefits I wanted to share today as it pertains to brain fuel, as the number one of 5 main benefits I want to share this week is, as we age, and from head injuries especially, glucose uptake in the brain drops, and what's called MCT transporters, or monocarboxylic transporters, they increase. So MCT transporters are what ketones use, and lactic acid, to get from the bloodstream to the cells and vice versa to produce energy. Glucose uses what's called GLUT transporters, a whole different highway, if you will. But as we age, and from head injuries, things like that, and from chronic stress and poor diet and things like that, glucose uptake goes down, MCT transporters go up. The issue there is majority of society eats in a way that doesn't create ketones in their blood. So therefore, a ketogenic approach, fasting, things like that, exercise, all of them combined will help increase your brain's ability to create brain fuel, or efficient fuel. But now, on the superior brain fuel aspect and perspective, ketones specifically create less inflammation in what's called reactive oxygen species, or also known as free radicals, than glucose did. The same amount will create different effects. Also, ketones produce more ATP, which is our body's natural energy currency that we run off of. Ketones create more ATP per molecule than glucose does. So you have a more superior brain fuel, or fuel source in general, that's cleaner. It's not dirty like glucose. And ketones are actually utilized even in the presence of abundant glucose available. And I think it's called PET scans. They showed this glucose and ketone uptake through imaging, and they've shown that the brain, heart, and lungs, I think the eyes too, actually prefer ketones over glucose. So that's really interesting. And then also, ketones help enhance mitochondria to produce energy even more. Like, mitochondria are known as the powerhouse of our cells. They're in the cells. And over time, as we age, our mitochondria levels drop, or they become damaged from different lifestyle choices and head injuries and all that. And glucose can't get in there. But ketones can get in there because they use a different highway system, and they allow the body to utilize cleaner, more efficient fuel and produce more efficient fuel, because the more mitochondria you have that are generating fuel efficiently, and the more you have that are more effective at it, and just in terms of volume, the more energy you're going to have. All the systems are all going to be energized, rather than taking energy from another one just to try to overproduce or overcompensate a deficit. So it's just really interesting there. With all that being said, just think of ketones as like solar energy versus glucose as like a campfire. Both produce energy, both can produce different levels, but one or the other, let's take the campfire, it's gonna be less sustainable. You're gonna have to be constantly refueling it, and it puts off a lot of smoke and fire. That could be looked at as inflammation, free radical damage. It's dirty. But when you look at solar energy, it can sustain itself as long as the sun's out there. It's there, it's capturing it. It's just going to keep revitalizing itself, and it puts off less toxic byproducts into the air. So it's a cleaner fuel source. It's also more sustainable. And so that's just the benefit I wanted to share today. Number 1 of 5 is just ketones are superior brain fuel. And resources where you can learn more about this is Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter. I mentioned that earlier, but also the Ketogenic Bible by Drs. Ryan Lowry and Dr. Jacob Wilson. They go in depth of all these things, and how our nutrition, our diet, our mindset, all that plays into how our brain functions, how it performs, the longevity aspect of our brains, and the quality of life we experience because of it. So I just highly encourage you guys to check out Keto Bible, or the Ketogenic Bible and Grain Brain. And if you have any other questions, or if you have any comments or any benefits you've experienced, just comment down below. Let me know what you think, and then I'll see you guys here tomorrow for day 2 of 5 of the 5-day ketosis challenge. Tomorrow we'll be talking about optimal body composition and why ketones and ketosis support that effort that many of us are after, and how we can maintain it. So appreciate you guys, love you guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.